Welcome to this episode of Real Estate IQ, where we answer frequently asked questions people are either too scared or too confused to ask. Frequently asked questions. My name is Edipu Sharon Ibinabo, and I'll be your host for today. In our previous episodes, we spoke about or we answered a lot of questions, like most of the basic questions people ask in real estate, from the type of documents to expect to the types of land. So if you haven't seen the last episode, you should definitely go and watch it. Today, we'll be diving straight into our questions. The first question I have on my list is, what is the difference between a C of O and a governor's consent? One of the greatest misconceptions that people have is that the C of O and governor's consent are the same, which is not true. A C of O, also known as the Certificate of Occupancy, is a legal document given by the government when a land has been registered. It will be given by the government to you, the buyer, to show that this land is your own, because it states that all land belongs to the government. Yes. So when you purchase a land that has been registered under the government, they will give you a certificate of occupancy to prove ownership of that land. While a governor's consent is a legal document that is needed or is used when you want to sell a property that has a C of O. A governor's consent comes in hand when you want to transfer a property that has a C of O from one person to another. For example, you buy this plot of land and then you want to sell it off to the next person or to like your buyer. So what you do now, as long as that property has a C of O, you definitely have to get the governor's consent to sell that property, because rightfully it belongs to you, yes, but it's still the property of the government. Why? Because all land belongs to the government. So the government is just giving you a period of 99 years or less to have this property, which you definitely go and renew after that C of O has expired. So you renew it after 99 years. This is where you need the governor's consent when you want to sell off that property. So I want you to have this in mind, that a governor's consent is not a replacement for C of O. It is not a replacement for C of O. And the C of O is not a replacement for governor's consent. Yes, they go hand in hand, because when you want to sell a land that has a C of O, you need a governor's consent to go with it. So that's the difference between a governor's consent and a C of O, or a certificate of occupancy. So the next question I have on my list is, why is location so important in real estate? You've probably heard people say location, 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 location. Well, that's because location affects almost everything in real estate. Location is very, very, very important, because the location determines the value of the property. It determines the accessibility of that property, the demand of the property, the rental income potential, and the future appreciation. So, whenever you want to buy a property, whenever you want to acquire a property, you'd have to look at the location of the property. For example, here in Port Harcourt, the very hot location right now is the Obrikwe axis. So everybody is buying property in Obrikwe axis, meaning that that place now has a lot of value to offer. And then, because it's already a developed area, you get a property at Okekere axis and then you can flip it. And in 1 year, 12 months, you get your profit back. So location values a lot. Another example is, if you buy a property in like a very, very remote area in, let's say, River State here, it's definitely not going to appreciate as fast as when you buy a property in the township area or the urban area of town, of the community. So, for example, another example actually, let's use a Che as an example. It's a developing community, yes, but you cannot compare the land you buy at a Che and the land you buy at GRA in Port Harcourt. No, and the price value differs. The land at GRA, you can see property land there for 50 million, 70 million, 80 million, 100 million naira. But at HA, you can get property for as low as 2 million naira, 1.2 million naira. Yes. So location is very important in real estate. Before you get any property, you ensure that the location is a good one and it can be accessible by anybody and the demand there is good. A key thing to note is that you can improve a building, but you cannot move the location. The next question I have on my list is, can family land be trusted? Family land can be trusted, but it comes with some caution. A family land, like it's when this land belongs to a group of persons in that family. So one person can say, "Oh, I want to sell off this land," and then the others will not agree to sell off that land. So when you buy from the person, from just one person that wants to sell off that land, and then the other people that did not agree come to fight for you or come to fight with you, is going to be a very, very stressful process. So the challenge with family land is that ownership may involve, like I said, it will involve different people, different individuals. And then when one person sells, just like I said, when one person sells, it will have, like, they would have some disputes among them. So, and there are some scenarios where you buy family land and the dispute will come years later. So that's not something that we would want you to go through. That's not something I would want anybody to go through because it's a lot of stress. So before you buy family land, ensure that all the necessary family representatives are present at your meetings. They are present at before the transaction takes place finally, because you cannot say you want to buy family land and then, like, the head of the houses, like key people in that family, are not there. You're definitely going to have issues with that property you buy. The next question I have here is, what does government acquisition mean? Government acquisition means that a government has acquired or have kept a piece of land, a piece of area for future purposes, like they want to build factories for development, or like they have government infrastructures in mind. It just simply means that the government has reserved a particular area, a particular place for different things, maybe like roads, hospitals, different kind of facilities, infrastructures. Yes, so that is government acquisition. Buying land under government acquisition can actually be very, very risky. Very, very risky because ownership rights may be limited. So whenever you want to buy a property, always verify. That's why we ask you to do your due diligence. Do your due diligence. Go to Ministry of Land, chat the land so that you know exactly the land that you want to buy, if it has a government acquisition on it, so that you would not have to fight with the government or like stress yourself after a period of years when you have developed that piece of land. So whenever you're buying a property, always verify the land. Verify the land that it has no government acquisition on it. So that is what government acquisition means. The next question I have here is, why are some lands very cheap? I always tell people, when you see land being sold way below the market value, don't get too excited for it. No, because it can be very, very, very risky. Lack of infrastructure, documentation problems, government acquisition problems, then flood prone terrain, flood prone areas. So whenever you see a land that is too cheap to be true, it must have one of these points. One of these points I've mentioned. Okay, so the next question I have on my list is, how long does land documentation take? How long does land document how long does land documentation take? Okay, so the answer is that the duration of the documentation, it differs depending on the company or the agency that is processing the document and the type of document that is being processed. For example, when you apply for a C of O, that's a certificate of occupancy, it does not just come immediately because it takes time from the government. So that's an example of a document that takes time. However, when it comes to the deed of conveyance, the deed of assignment, the survey plan, here at Tengo Properties, it takes us 14 working days and the documents will be ready. But when it comes to the C of O, because it's from the government, it takes a longer amount of time. Yeah, the next question I have on my list is, can I buy land without seeing it physically? The answer to this question is yes. Why? Because there are a lot of persons in diaspora who have not physically seen their property, but they have bought it. Do you understand? So a lot of persons buy land remotely, especially Nigerians in the diaspora. However, you must not rely solely on pictures and videos of this property, because pictures and videos can or might lie to you. If you can't visit physically, you can always send a trusted representative. Yes, send a trusted representative, or you request for a live virtual tour of that property. A live virtual tour. Emphasis on the live. Yes. So you can ask for that, and then you verify the documents independently. You verify those documents yourself with the help of your lawyer. So that before you make any purchase, before you make the payment, you are sure that what you are buying is exactly what you come and see. So that it not be a case of what I ordered versus what I got. So technology helps, but physical verification, remains one of the best ways for you to protect your property. Okay, so the final question I have on my list here is, what happens after I buy land? What happens? Okay, many buyers think that the process just stops at buying land, but no, it goes further than that. So after you buy or you purchase a land, the next step is to collect all all the required documents for that property. You get it, all relevant documents, you get it, like the deed of conveyance or the deed of assignment, you get that, the CFO if it's a registered land, yes, the survey plan, your payment receipt, those are relevant documents that you take. So after that, you attend the allocation of that property, of that plot, so that either the company or the agent will show you your exact plot of land as it is in your survey plan, as it is in your documents. The next step after that is to secure your land. How do you do that? So you do the perimeter fencing around your land so that people would not encroach into your property, for it to be secure. Then after that, you decide whether to build, to sell, or to just keep it on hold for the meantime. So that's all the questions I have here today. I'm very sure that you have enjoyed this episode of Real Estate IQ, where I'm very sure that I have answered some of the questions you have. So if you have more questions for us, you can please leave it in the comment section of this video. Yes, and I'm definitely going to answer the question on the next episode. I remain your host, Ejiku Sharon Ibinabo, and do well to like this video, subscribe to the channel so that when next we drop a video, you'll be the first to know about it. So, like the video, subscribe, comment your questions, share this video to somebody that you think would have some questions that I've answered. So, see you on the next episode of Real Estate IQ.